Hello there, and welcome to the Stay Off My Lawn podcast, where we'll have a little fun, lots of laughs, and discussions on the common sense that needs to be applied to a lot of today's world news issues. And now, the disclaimer. Stay Off My Lawn is not intended as legal, medical, or financial advice. Void where prohibited. No purchase necessary to win. Open to legal U.S. residents 18 or over in the contiguous 48 states. Any resemblance to anyone living or deceased is purely coincidental. Actual price may vary. Only use as directed. Not a member of FDIC. And now, here are your hosts, Mike and Richard.
We may not be ready, but here we go. Welcome to this week's edition of Stay Off My Lawn. It's June 4th, 2024, and this is episode 6 or 9er. 6-9. So
6-9er. Okay, yes, it's 69 people. Get over it.
Yeah. We probably shouldn't even talk about that anymore. So anyway, how was your weekend?
Oh, Lord, another 3 hours out mowing weeds that are dry, and I'm just now getting where I don't have crap in my eyes anymore. The wind was blowing just enough. It's such fun. But I did last week decided to try. We had some boneless country style ribs. It's basically a pork roast that they cut into strips and call it ribs.
Boneless ribs. Yeah,
whatever.
That's different. Yeah, okay.
So it's called country style, boneless country style ribs. It's just a bunch of pork.
It's called ribs, and ribs are bones. It doesn't make any sense.
I know. I tried to tell the wife goes ribs, and I'm looking for. I can't find any ribs in here. Where did you say you put them? Well, they're right over. I'm going. Yeah, that's the country style. She goes, yeah, the ribs. I went. Those are not ribs. Please don't call them that.
Like boneless chicken wings. Just call them chicken nuggets and get it over with.
That's right. It's the same difference.
Because you can only put them. You can only picture a chicken walking around just kind of all limp and just not being able.
Well, they don't walk; they roll.
Whatever. Yeah, exactly. They're like Weebles Wobbles, and yeah. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
It's all right. I decided it's the first time this year my pellet grill, and I went. I've never cooked them on there before. I'll do them low and slow and see what happens. Oh
yeah.
Oh, yeah, they were real good. I load up a tiny little small. It's about 5 inches across, something like that, 4 or 5 inches across. I have a cast iron pan, and I use that out on my grills. I put barbecue sauce in so that it slowly kind of cooks it down a little bit and helps make it a little more sticky so it stays on the ribs, and you start putting that on a little bit at a time. Whoa.
See, I missed my opportunity. My wife's out of town this week. I should have just bought a ticket and come up there for the day and let you cook for me. I didn't even think of that. Gosh, I missed the opportunity.
The wife and I, it's nice having my sous chef back in the kitchen. Her knee's doing well. The other one that's not her surgery knee is needing to be replaced. Also, that's hurting more than the surgery knee now, so things are transferring.
That's actually
she's standing in the kitchen doing stuff. We made a huge batch. We got carried away of spaghetti, as the Italians call it, gravy, but it wasn't. It's pretty much meat sauce. Yeah, it's meat sauce there. It's good stuff.
You got to put
that's a different kind of Italian. You want to go, hey, it's a meat sauce. It's so good. It's going to feed your soul. And it's going to taste so nice, made with the love. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, the little bit of Parmesan.
Yeah, wife likes that. I'm not a super big fan, but anyway.
It depends. You can overdo it, just like anything else. You can overdo it.
Yeah, but I did find several years ago that if you don't use the dirty foot cheese, as I used to call it, the Kraft stuff, that just stinks, and I can't stand the smell of that, wait a minute, real Parmesan, and you grate it, and you like that? I don't mind the taste of it, put in stuff now either. She goes, really? I'm going, it's not like that other stuff that they say is cheese. It smells like something that came from between somebody's toes that hasn't changed their socks in a month.
I got a friend of mine, Italian friend of mine that came down from New Jersey, and he's very Italian. And he said to his grandmother, he would always, if somebody brought in that kind of cheese to put on their spaghetti or whatever Italian meal it was, his grandmother called it God forbid cheese, because God forbid you bring this into my house. So that was God forbid cheese. I'll never forget that.
So since I discovered that, I always make sure she has fresh Parmesan cheese to grate and do. I don't care. A little wedge of the stuff is so much money, but it'll last
Yeah.
6 months. So I really don't,
It doesn't.
I don't have to smell that other stuff. I'm happy.
It doesn't mold up like, the
Yeah.
one thing I can say is that Costco sells this stuff, and it comes in a pretty good sized tub, but they sell this stuff that is actually shredded cheese like that. It's Parmesan Romano, whatever it is, but it's actually, it smells completely different than the Kraft stuff. I mean, it's very, very good. So I think it's as close to shredded without actually having to shred it. So.
Yes, Kraft, good cheese. Put it on your macaroni, or you can use it on any Italian treat you like.
Somebody's had a script that had that line in it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Boy.
Anyway.
Kraft isn't what it used to be.
No.
So anyway, we got to watch the babies this weekend, and then Barbara went out of town. So I've been batching it for the last couple of days, and I'm actually going to make some spaghetti. I think this afternoon I'm going to go get a pound of ground beef, and I'll just get that and heat it up, and get that and heat it up, and then because it's easy. I just brown some ground beef, put it in a thing with some spaghetti noodles, or I like to get the ziti or the twists. I like the different shapes for some reason. I like that better. And throw some good ragu in there, and I'm good. So I know. I'm such a chef.
Ours was, we made it all from scratch. She's always just made some of the best spaghetti, and we'd been craving it, and it wasn't something that I could recreate. I could probably get close, but we went all out we had both Italian sausage as well as some hamburger, mixed the two together. 12-inch cast iron pan. It was like about half inch at the least from the top of the pan for the two of us. We got leftovers.
You got plenty of leftovers. So I could still fly up today, and that could happen. That could happen. Hey, whenever possible, we like to start off with words of wisdom from our Commander-in-Chief, and this week is no different.
It's Uncle Joe's Wisdom of the Week.
We'll never forget lying around and him lying around, actually.
I like the nervous laughter that actually came.
What was wrong with the guy's hemline?
Hemline. Hemline was something. It was too short. Things were falling out.
Was it frayed and unraveled, and they were trying to decide if they needed to do a lock stitch or a whip stitch on it? I don't know.
He was clutching his pearls one way or the other. It was really bothering him somehow. I have no clue what that was all about.
I don't think he did. So how were we supposed to know?
I was going to tell you about this. I told you off the air, but I got to tell everybody. I heard about this past week, that the year Biden was born, he was closer to Lincoln's presidency than his own presidency. He was president. He became president in 2020. He was born in 1942. And President Lincoln died in 1865. He was actually closer to Lincoln's presidency. To me, that speaks volumes to me. He's too freaking old to be doing this stuff. But, what he tries to do, he tries to.
Yeah, but then Barack's going to have to take and reattach all the strings to somebody else.
Well, that's true. And all Biden's trying to do is.
My focus is just stay focused.
So, I think he's doing very well.
That's good advice, I suppose.
I think he's doing very well. He's given us a lot of fodder for our beginning of our show anyway.
Lord, what are we going to do?
Lots of people are weighing in on the verdict of Donald Trump last week. 34 counts, guilty. They did
sort of.
Yeah. It didn't have to be unanimous, supposedly. It's still a little muddy for me. I'm not really sure how New York law is, but it seems like they manipulated that a little bit.
They don't know what their law is, because most of that was made up. We're going to do it this way. Oh, wait, that'll help us more, so let's do that too.
See, the thing is, paying somebody to not speak or not talk about something is not illegal. And I didn't know that, but I've found that out in the last couple of weeks. That's not an illegal thing. It's like an NDA that you and I would sign for voiceover. You can't talk about this, and you're going to sign your name here, and we're going to pay you money to do this part, and that's it.
For anybody who doesn't know what an NDA is, it's a non-disclosure agreement. Yeah. We talk about this stuff all the time, and you do sign them from time to time. And then you see the script and you go, I signed an NDA for this.
Sometimes you got to do an NDA just for auditions. My agent will send me an NDA every once in a while, just because it's so top secret. Nobody can find out that we're going to be advertising Nike shoes for something. I mean, it's just so stupid sometimes. But anyway, and nothing that he had done was felonious in any way, shape, or form previously. People have done these things all the time, and it's an accounting error. How can that turn into 32 felonies? I have no idea, but smarter people have worked this out more than me.
Well, even law scholars have gone, what?
Do what?
You're doing what?
Yeah.
No. I mean, when you got lefty Alan Dershowitz going,
Yeah.
This won't stand up. And then I saw...
I was going to mention him.
You go
that's a
to
great
the
point.
appeals court. Did you happen to see who is on the appellate appeals court in New York?
No. Who?
5 black ladies.
Okay.
That's all that's on it. 5 black women.
That's all
that's all that's on there. And they went, yeah, it may have to go past that one too.
We'll see. Maybe there's somebody who actually understands the law in there that will throw this out. And I don't know. But I mean, you're right. Alan Dershowitz, who is not a conservative by any way, shape, or form. I mean, he's actually very liberal. But at least he can kind of zoom out a little bit and take it at a 30,000-foot view and go, this is a travesty. And he said that several times. So, I mean, and I respect somebody like that, somebody who will actually look at it in a point of view that doesn't have a political lean to it, which is hard to find on media anymore. But he's I like it when they interview him, because you're actually getting true opinion and not something that is politically motivated. So.
I believe what he says when he goes, this is what it is, because he doesn't have an agenda per se against, he's just saying the fact of here's what the laws are, this is what it is. And that ain't right, people.
Yep, I agree. RFK Jr. came out right after the verdict, and I don't know whether this was a tweet or whatever, but he said the Democratic Party's, this is in quotes, the Democratic Party's strategy is to beat President Trump in the courtroom rather than the ballot box, and this will backfire in November. So, I mean, even him, who's not a fan of President Trump whatsoever, I mean, he's like going, they're playing with fire here. They're gonna,
and I don't understand why the Democratic National Committee isn't going, this really isn't working.
Yeah, they're so committed to the narrative. It's almost like they don't see it. I don't know. Anyway, the great Joe Pags, who has a great radio show, he summarized this sham trial pretty well. Here's him.
Breaking news, the verdict is in, and they found the former president guilty of all 34 counts. It was an election interference trial. They alleged he interfered with an election by doing an NDA payoff after he was elected, which makes no sense. You've got a court that was in an 87% Biden district. You've got a jury that wasn't allowed to be questioned as the defense wanted to question it. You've got a judge that is a donor to the sitting president, the competitor for the now guilty former president in this upcoming November's election. The entire thing stinks to high heaven. The guilty verdict is in. This is all they wanted. You find him guilty, you can now call him a convicted felon. And that's what they'll be doing from now until November.
Every news show lately, they start off with that. You're going to support a convicted felon? It's on CNN and MSNBC both. So,
which is doesn't make any difference. He can still run for president as a felon. He can't vote, but he can still run for president.
Yep.
He could win the presidential election
from
and still
a jail
be in jail.
Cell. Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Somebody called me the other day.
I don't know who's thinking this is really a good idea, but it's not working, folks.
No, not at all. Senator J.D. Vance from Ohio was asked about this on CNN by Wolf Blitzer, and he didn't really hold back.
This judge committed multiple elements of reversible error, and he did it while his daughter has made a ton of money off of Democratic candidates and while he himself donated to the Biden campaign.
So let me repeat the question.
You cannot say that this trial was anything more than politics masquerading as justice. And yes, I will help Donald
Whatever
Trump.
happened-
I will help Donald Trump however I think that I can, Wolf, because if we allow this to happen, it's so much bigger and so much more troubling than Donald Trump. If we allow this standard that you can throw your political opponents in jail because they're doing better than you in an election, it will be the end of this country as we know it.
That's where you get all the banana republics.
Das ist Wurf Blitzer, ja. We will do what we need, jawohl.
He was on his heels on that one.
Yeah, he tried to interrupt and cut him off, and he was not having anything to do with
J.D.
that.
Vance is one of those senators you don't want to go toe-to-toe with intellectually either. He's another one of those guys that's like...
Oh, he's so far above Wurf, buddy, that,
Yeah.
Not a big Wolfie fan, sorry.
No, me neither. Even though compared to a lot of them on CNN, he's probably one of the better ones, but he's not super smart by any way, shape, or form. But yeah, even kangaroos are suing to get people to stop saying this is kangaroo court. But anyway, I think it could be ugly. Anyway, let's take a break. I've got another clip. We've got another couple of clips from people that are much smarter than us talking about all this. So hang in there. We will be right back.
Stay tuned. More of the Stay Off My Lawn podcast is coming up.
Rock legends Journey bring their Freedom Tour 2024 to venues across the UK in October and November.
Don't stop believing.
With very special guests, Cheap Trick.
I want you to want me.
The epic tour kicks off at the Utilita Arena in Cardiff on October the 30th and culminates at the O2 in London on November the 17th. Tickets are on sale now at aegp.uk/Journey. For the chance to win tickets to see Journey and Cheap Trick on the Freedom Tour 2024, visit radiocaroline.co.uk and enter our free online draw.
You make me weak.
Welcome back to Stay Off My... We are chatty Cathy's today. The Stay Off My Lawn, segment 2. Hey, by the way, we've gotten a lot more followers and listens lately. Don't know where that's coming from, but it's great. You can go to stayoffmylawn.us and find out more about us if that floats your boat. Or you could call us and leave us a voicemail at 770-727-6443. Or you could just write us in good old-fashioned email, soml@duck.com. So
There you go.
That'll
get a hold of us. We're happy to have you aboard listening to us, and it's we're enjoying having an audience of the size that seems to be growing. We've been doing this. We'll be 70 episodes next week in 18 countries, and this is not our first rodeo, but we're having fun, and we like to laugh at stuff and just kind of get through it. There's some weird stuff happening.
Yeah, definitely. When we've got more than an hour's worth of show to try to cram into an hour, but it's kind of exploded overnight. I was telling somebody about the show the other day, and they said. I said, we kind of make fun of politicians and we do, but you seem so nice. I can't imagine you making fun of people. It's like, well, I mean,
you don't really know me, do you?
But I did say it's all in good fun. I mean, we kind of make fun of how stupid things are. It's not necessarily their character or the person normally. It's just what they say.
The situation and what they say, and it's like, I don't think you wanted to do that.
I don't think that word means what you think it means. But yeah, definitely. You keep saying
we laugh
that
at
word.
ourselves because we say stupid stuff too.
Absolutely, and we leave it all in. We don't edit jack. So I mean, because editing is up to me, and I'm too lazy. So we just leave it all in there.
And when I do the promo, because I do the videos and the promos, I don't take much out either. It's a little bit off each end, and that's it, people. You get what we did.
Exactly. You're not going to make us prettier, so you might as well just go ahead and.
Lord knows that's not going to happen.
Yeah, just leave it all in there. Getting back to Trump, though, Stuart Varney from Fox Business interviewed one of our favorite congressmen, Wesley Hunt, and Mr. Hunt kind of went scorched earth, to kind of put it mildly.
They're celebrating his conviction. Frankly, if I may offer an opinion, I think this is a sad and embarrassing day for our country. What say you?
If you are celebrating this, what happened to our former president of these United States of America, you are a despicable human being. But I want to say something. After President Trump got convicted of 34 counts, he walked out of that courtroom and the first thing he said to the American public was this: it's going to be okay. He is a family man. He is a father. He is a grandfather. And most importantly, he knows he is going to be the president of this country in November. And he has got to have that steady hand. Stuart, I fought for something. We just celebrated Memorial Day. I fought for Lady Justice to be blind and Lady Liberty to be blind. And we are living in these crazy times. But one thing that strikes me as being very interesting is that this investigation was started in 2017. Yeah. And why are they bringing it up now? Why are you going to have this conviction that's going to come out 4 days before the RNC, the Republican National Convention? And so we're living in very peculiar times right now that the American public is paying attention to, especially in swing states and especially independents. The day is darker before the dawn, and November is coming, Stuart.
Politico reports that Biden's trouble with black voters are setting off alarm bells in the White House. Well, we have heard that before. What do black voters think about Trump's guilty verdicts?
If you're not paying attention to what's happening on black Twitter and on black social media, it's absolutely fantastic. People are going after this like you would not believe. We're talking about Joe Biden here. We're talking about if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black, Joe Biden. We're talking about 94 crime bill, Joe Biden. We're talking about the Joe Biden that eulogized a grand cyclops or a grand wizard in the KKK. Black people are aware of what's going on, and now the pandering has begun. That's why they're going to Philadelphia. That's why they're going to the black community, because they know that they are hemorrhaging the black male vote like you would not believe. And by the way, if President Trump gets between 25 and 30% of the black male vote, which he is on pace to get, Democrats cannot win. And then now they are tasking Kamala Harris to go out and do black voter outreach as well. What an absolute joke. That's the canary in the coal mine. They are running scared, and the only way that they could stop President Trump is by trying to put him in prison. This is insanity. This has never happened to a former president of this country. He deserves respect, and I can assure you that he has just awakened a sleeping giant.
Yeah, you look at the crowd that was in the Bronx last week. I mean, there's a lot of black people out there, and they were all going, "I'm for Trump." So.
Yeah, they didn't know what to say, and I think before that happened, it was AOC that went, and he's not welcome here. He's going to have to bus in people to come to his rally. And Jeez. It's like, are you kidding me? What was there? Somewhere between 25 and 30,000 people there. There was no more room. That little park was not meant to have that many people in it.
I think it surprised everybody. I think it even surprised the Trump people that were putting it together.
Yeah. They were buying hats and merchandise and T-shirts and proudly putting them on and didn't care what somebody thought.
That's right. That's right. It was a sea of red hats out there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But Hispanic
was
voters.
Nice to see.
But I think Congressman made a good point there. If you get 30% of the black vote, especially black women are probably not going to go to Trump, but black men, I believe it seems like the breakdown that I saw, black men are coming in droves over to the Trump side. So it's it's kind of hard to say. I think they are kind of scared, and if they send Kamala out there, they are desperate.
When she's their only hope, oh Lord, they're in trouble.
I thought the canary in the coal mine was great, because it's like you send the canary in, because if it dies,
yeah, she's got a 22% approval rating. It's just absolutely atrocious.
The worst of any vice president ever.
Time and the presence of time is what time is all about. That's right. If you just have the time to think about time.
Yeah.
What? What the heck? That made as much sense as anything she said.
But the thing is, she keeps saying it over and over and over again. Apparently, we have not got it yet. She's trying to explain it to us, and I feel so stupid. She cannot
ad-lib. They've got stuff for her to go off of, and then she goes off script. She can't. She has no idea how to talk off.
She's almost worse off script than Joe is, which is saying a lot.
I don't know. Wow. You're giving Joe credit.
Yeah. There's a guy I follow on social media and on YouTube or whatever. There's a guy called his name is Ricky Gutierrez. He was actually the youngest millionaire in Arizona history. He does a lot of day trading and swing trading. He's very much an expert. Young guy in his 20s. But lately he's been getting a little bit more political because it's been affecting the stock market. When I had a couple $1,000s when I first retired, I was playing around the stock market, listening to his tips, made some good money doing what he was suggesting. very smart guy. If you do that kind of thing, he's a good guy to listen to. But anyway, he came out with a little bit of commentary right after the verdict. I think it was the next day, and the fallout from that verdict, which is unexpected, I think, on all fronts.
Donald Trump's donation page crashes just minutes after he was found guilty of those 34 felonies in New York. And this seems to be exactly what Donald Trump needed, because 30 minutes after that first website crashes, they create a new donation page and that one crashes too. It seems like he has a huge red wave of supporters that are rushing in to try to donate to his 2024 presidential campaign. Now, what we know so far is that the Biden administration was supposed to comment shortly after the verdict, but we have not heard anything from them just yet. As of right now, I also paid attention to his publicly traded stock that was previously down 10% yesterday after he was found guilty. This is ticker symbol DJT. But now, pre-market hours, this stock is up 5.8%. Not only making back everything that it lost yesterday, but also making an additional 5 to 6% in the green. Now, again, the question is this what Donald Trump needed to win the 2024 presidential election?
Certainly going to help.
Yeah, well, according to AOC, Trump was broke.
Oh, yeah, he's broke. Poor guy.
Her math ain't mathin', lady. I'm sorry, but I don't think he's broke.
Maybe she had somebody else ringing up the drinks when she was a bartender.
Yeah.
And when they tallied all the donations from that day, and these were all small donations, you and I talked about this off the air, $10, $20, $5, $100. They all added up to approximately $52 to $53 million in that first day.
In 24 hours.
Yep.
It just within what did I see? Within 2 hours or something, it was almost 10 million that quick.
It's incredible. That's why the website crashed. Yeah,
and it would have been more if it hadn't have crashed twice.
Yep. It's incredible. I mean, people are seeing this and they're like going, he is being treated like the rest of us small people. It's like, the system and the government can run right over you, just like they're doing to him right now, and we all can relate. And I think that when these kind of things happen on these stupid charges, how can you not relate to that? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. It's just been people can see it for what it is, a sham.
Yep, absolutely.
And I've had some. So you watch? How much Fox do you watch? None. I don't watch any of it. And you and I were talking about that as well. That most of the stuff we get are actual clips from, not necessarily. We do have some that are from news media that others are posting, and we will garner from that.
Yeah.
But it's primarily C-SPAN where the actual event is taking place. I have seen this. I can't tell you how many times I just get so PO'd watching MSN. I don't do it as much as I used to, because I've seen what the actual event was, what took place, and then you get their version and you go, what
That's
glasses
not even close.
do you need?
Yeah.
What the hell? Not even in the same ballpark.
Yep.
So I don't want them telling me about stuff that I saw with my own two eyes, listened to it with my own two ears, and they were nowhere close.
Again, like I said last week, since COVID, that's kind of taught us to kind of go find out the information for ourselves, as opposed to just believing and hanging on every word that some newsreader has to tell you, because that's a message that's been copy and pasted for them, or like in CNN, Fox, or MSNBC. Those are personal opinions interjected in there, sounding like facts when they're not really facts. So
yeah.
Anyway, I got one last thing. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik from New York asked Robert Costello, if you're not familiar with who that is, he was the attorney that contradicted Michael Cohen's testimony in New York, saying that, Trump didn't know anything about these things. Michael Cohen's lying, which Michael Cohen has had nothing but lies in his background anyway. Anyway, he was talking about the unique jury selection process that went on at this trial, and that was pretty interesting.
One additional question. I want to talk about the rigged and unprecedented jury selection process. Isn't it true that Bragg's team asked the jurors if they followed Trump on social media?
Yes.
And isn't it true that they did not ask any of the potential jurors if they followed Biden on social media?
Or Michael Cohen.
or Michael
Yes.
Cohen.
Yeah.
And isn't it true that 87% of the jurors said they voted for Joe Biden?
That's true.
Is this unprecedented and lawfare jury shopping?
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt. Political lawfare for the purpose of election interference to go after Donald Trump. Do you agree?
Totally.
This is one of the reasons that Trump's polls continue to skyrocket. And it's why President Trump will win in 2024 to end the illegal and warped weaponization of the justice system. Because if they can illegally go after Trump, they can go after anyone.
Absolutely. And to be fair, there's no way a jury of 12 can have 87% of anything. That math didn't math up very well. But I think what she was trying to say is that Manhattan went 87% for Joe Biden in 2020.
Right.
So the
I don't
jury,
think it'll be that high this time.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think so. Because it can't be. It can't be because there's got to be people out there that voted for Joe Biden that are going, oh, this is not what I thought I was signing up for. But anyway.
Yeah, it's not working out. Oh, what do we got now?
Did you see that Trump showed up at the UFC event in
Oh, yeah.
in deep blue
Would
New
have
Jersey?
thought it was a Trump rally, for crying
Yeah,
out
it
loud.
was.
These are people just showing up to watch two guys pummel the crap out of each other.
I had the clip and I didn't play it, or I didn't save it because you really couldn't hear all that well, and especially just audio only. But if you saw the video, it was incredible. You could hear chants of "We want Trump" when over and over. And this is while the fight was going on, while the people were beating the crap out of each other. We want Trump. We want Trump. And then F Joe Biden was another chant that was going on.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there was some boos maybe in there somewhere, but it was drowned out by the cheers. And this is deep blue New Jersey.
One of the stars, if you will, of the MMA, after he won his bout, President Trump essentially was ringside or octagon side or whatever.
Yeah, he was sitting there with Dana White, the CEO.
Yeah. And he said, "Hey, I'm voting," and the crowd went nuts.
Yep, absolutely. And one guy jumped over the octagon cage and came out there and shook Donald's hand, which I thought was a great little moment. I mean, I think people that are normal, everyday, working class people understand that Joe Biden is not for them and Donald Trump is. And I think that, and like I said, Trump's got his issues. I've got my issues with him, but man, he connects with us. We get him. He signed up for TikTok just, I think it was one day last week. And the first day that he was on there, he got 3 million followers, I think it was. I mean, it's like,
well, within 2 days, he had 3 million. Joe only has like 300,000. He had 1.5 million in the first day. Boom. 1.5 million followers that quick.
Yeah. And Joe is not personally on there; it's just his campaign. But Trump actually has his own personal TikTok, and I'm not a TikToker, so I don't know.
No, but neither am I.
Yeah, but anyway, when we come back, we're going to talk about two Congress people that have opposing views. Let's put it that way. And it's very, very good. So hang in there.
It's too precious not to miss. You got to hear this.
It is precious. hang in there. We'll be right back.
It's all about common sense and fun. We'll be right back.
Kit Kat is brewing up a new mix with creamy mocha flavor and delicious chocolate. Introducing Kit Kat Duos Mocha and Chocolate. Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
All right, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 3. Hey, it's halftime. It's going to be okay.
Woohoo!
Yeah, well, the kickoff has begun. Most of us conservatives think that government is too involved in everyday citizens' lives. So we have two Congress people. One is a conservative, one is a liberal. And I think you'll recognize both of their voices. This is AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Chip Roy from Texas. Break down the differences in the way the left and the right.
And in this corner, weighing in it, in my white trunk says...
I'm betting on Chip. I don't know why I feel that way. Yeah, here's that.
I ask you to think about the last time a person has said in this country that the government does too much for them, that their Social Security check was too high, that teachers are paid too much. When was the last time anyone has heard or seen that?
My friend from New York Ms. Ocasio-Cortez said, quote, I ask you, think about the last time a person has said in this country that the government does too much for them. When was the last time anyone has heard or seen that? I'll say it. I'll say it right here. I don't want the government doing most of the things that the government is doing to interfere with the ability of the American people to carry out their lives. Federal, state, and local. When was the last time you had a bureaucrat show up and you said, oh, joy, thank you. I'm really glad there's a bureaucrat here. When was the last time you were thankful for $32 trillion in debt, $100,000 almost for every man, woman, and child in America? Anybody thankful for $32 trillion in debt? Anybody? Anybody thankful for a border that's wide open being exploited by cartels while fentanyl comes in and kills our children? Everybody thankful for that Department of Homeland Security that doesn't actually secure the homeland? Everybody thankful for an FBI that went after Scott Smith and labeled him a domestic terrorist for daring to defend his daughter in a school board meeting because she was assaulted in a bathroom? Anybody thankful for the IRS knocking on your door, auditing the poor and the minorities 3 to 5 times more? People thankful for that? Are you thankful for the EPA or the Department of Interior that sent a man to prison because he had some ponds on his ranch in Montana? We have a government that is weaponized against the American people and is undermining our liberties, and they want more of it. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle want more government. They want more taxes. They want more spending. They want more bureaucrats knocking on your door.
Yeah, not me.
No, absolutely. I'm happy living where I am. I'm out here. Nobody bothers me. I had to remind the wife the other day, we were talking about the poke, if you will, and the county that I'm in, there was only, what was it? Something like 32% even got it in the whole county.
Any of the shots? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It was like 70% or close to 70% didn't. And gee, we're all still here. How about that?
That's beautiful. I love it when a plan comes together. But
I love Chip Roy.
I did too. You know, it's like, I think the last booster that came out, I think there was only like 9% of people got it in the U.S. I mean, so across the board, people were, even some of my family members, I won't call them out, but I've had a couple of family members that were all in on this whole the shots, and you better get the shot or you're going to die. You're going to die. But they finally go, you know, they didn't even test this. Yeah, they didn't test that last booster. They didn't. I don't think they tested any of them personally, but
no.
But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Lots of experts have been talking about what the economy will look like if Biden gets in again. So what's in store for us middle-class Americans if Uncle Joe gets reelected? Steve Forbes, which you and I talked about before off the air, that we haven't really heard from him lately. I think he's like 76 years old, still sharp as a freaking tack.
Yeah. He knows this stuff. He knows what he's talking about. It's not made up things. This is stuff that he spent his entire life doing.
Absolutely.
This is a man that knows these things, whether you agree with his politics or not.
Right.
He knows his stuff.
He does. And he has this little magazine called Forbes, I think it is. And they've been
he did. I think he has since sold it.
Oh, has he?
His name is still on it, but
I got you. Well, yeah, you don't want to change the name because people won't understand. So anyway, he's kind of summed it up nicely what he thinks is going to happen if poor Uncle Joe gets back in there.
Well, the Biden bomb is what is going to really hit the American people. If he got in again, which he won't, and they get those tax things go through, lets the Trump tax cuts expire, the cost of the American people is going to soar. Already, what you might call non-monetary inflation, that is regulation, is already raising the cost. Regulations, air conditioner, you want to refill your air conditioner, $1,100. You want to buy a new washing machine, $200 extra. Dishwasher, $200 extra. And so you go down, and a new water heater, $2,800 from regulations. So you add it all up, Biden regulations are costing the American people, as they take effect, 4 to 5 times all corporate profits in America. You take a manufacturer with less than 50 people, $50,000 per employee, 10 times what they pay in taxes. This is going to kill the American economy if this guy gets in again.
Yep. I think it's...
I'm glad I got my water heater went south on me. got another one in there. No, it didn't cost me that much, but to have labor and somebody else to come all the way out here in the boonies to put it in was going to be somewhere close to $2,000.
Oh my gosh.
When the water heater itself was $475.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's gone up quite a bit because it was only maybe 6-7 years ago, I had to get a water heater and it was like $112. And of course,
Lord, mine was more than that. 3 years ago, it was $360.
Well, this is 7 years ago, so maybe it's just everything has gone up. But of course, I had a friend of mine put it in for me because it was copper tubing and the whole thing. I didn't know how to do all that. He had to weld it. I don't know how to weld. So anyway, he had to put all that in for me. But I mean,
it's called sweating a joint. You don't weld copper.
Whatever. You know what I mean. Now I feel so stupid. But yeah, I mean, he had a torch out. I don't know what he was doing, but anyway, yes. But I think total cost was like $200. I mean, there was nothing to it. So anyway, everything has just gone through the roof for $476. I mean, just in the past 7 years. Well, just you said 3 years ago, it's gone up over $100. So
yeah, everything just keeps moving in the wrong direction, and the extra taxes. And you want to know what it would look like? Look north to Canada, people. Oh, I just watched a video this morning that the gal was commenting on a trucker who showed his receipt. It said 4,000. It was essentially close to $4,700 in fuel.
Yeah.
Of that $4,700, $2,500 of that $4,700 was nothing but taxes and regulation.
Yeah, and supposedly Trump has already promised that one of his first things he does in office is get rid of almost all the regulations that have been put in place. He's going to get rid of everything. So I mean, it's going to free us up.
They're just stupid. Yeah. It's a way to get more taxes. They got. Yep. What do you need more taxes for? If you make the economy grow and do what it needs to do, you will receive more taxes because the economy is doing better. You don't have to raise them. And if you stop spending, shocker, guess what? The bill will go down.
That's the thing. When they're spending, I think they're doubling what they actually bring in revenue as far as their spending goes. I think we bring in like $3.5 trillion.
$4.7 trillion last year was a record tax
revenue
rake. Yeah. They raked in $4.7 trillion of our dollars and gave a whole bunch of it to little Ukraine that kind of came back to the US.
They spent 7.3 or 7.2 or something. So I mean, that's you can't sustain that. I mean, run the checkbook or run the government like I run my checkbook. I never go over the money I have, and that's how everybody in the country does it. Why can't you do that in the government? It doesn't make
It's like sense. Having your credit card maxed out, but somebody is still allowing you to charge on it. Yeah. I don't know how that works, but no sense. That's essentially what it amounts to.
That old Mike Rowe thing. It's like if your toilet backed up and you're about knee deep in crap, do you raise the roof or do you shovel out the crap? It's like, I mean, it's the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah. Well, Congress and the crap. Oh, that's a pretty good analogy.
See, it all smells the same anyway. Hey, do you remember the Steele Dossier from, what is it, 8 years ago now?
Why does that sound familiar? Wasn't that a fiction novel of some sort?
That sounds like a James Bond movie, but no. The Steele Dossier. Anyway, the proven fake document that the Clinton campaign made up to make look like Trump was in bed with Russia, along with other things. I thought it had been swept under the rug, to be honest with you, but Maria Bartiromo, one of my favorite media people, she has an update on this.
So is it accountability? The Federal Election Commission is now fining Hillary Clinton and the Democrat National Committee over the way it paid a firm to produce the notorious Steele Dossier. The Clinton campaign has been fined $8,000 and the DNC slapped with a $105,000 penalty after a 2016 letter revealed that they violated campaign finance rules. The FEC says both parties failed to properly report payments for opposition research and the production of the dossier, instead labeling the payments legal services. Former President Trump now asking, where do I get my reputation back?
Yeah, I mean, if it gets filed under the wrong thing in the ledger, seems like that's all that they got Trump on. I mean, why?
And are you kidding me? 8,000 and then 100,000 to the DNC. So it was a little over $108,000 or something in fines. Give me a break.
It's nickels to them. It's nothing.
Oh, they spent $1 million having this wonderful
document,
historically absolute 100% inaccurate document made up.
Totally made up. Where the rules don't matter. I don't know. If you've forgotten what the Steele Dossier was all about, Ted Cruz was asked about this recently, and I love Ted Cruz. He had a good recollection of what it was all about.
If this is a crime, if this is a felony that someone should go to jail for, then Hillary Clinton committed the exact same crime. Because at the exact same time, Hillary Clinton's campaign paid over $1 million.
You're not exaggerating to say exact same time. 2016 presidential campaign, her campaign was making the Steele Dossier. The Democratic National Committee was helping pay for this. She was paying for this out of the campaign finance, their campaign. She had lawyers involved that were doing this and trying to sell this. Literally, it's exact same time frame.
So her campaign spent over $1 million to create the Steele Dossier. The Steele Dossier, you remember, is the scurrilous and scandalous dossier assembled in Europe that alleged all these things that Trump had done, including the famous P-tape, all of which was fiction.
Yeah.
All of which was false. It was made up.
Brought to you and paid for by the Democratic Party and Hillary Clinton for president.
The Hillary Clinton campaign recorded that over $1 million as legal fees.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Sure it was. Are you kidding me?
It's incredible.
Good Lord. The Steele Dossier.
Yeah.
Will he be available next month? Who is going to... As the Steele Dossier turned.
As the stomach turned. Steele Dossier turned. Yes, my stomach is turned for sure. But, I really thought that was swept all under the rug and it was never going to come to light. And even though it's a small punishment, somebody should be prosecuted. And maybe if we get somebody different in the DOJ, somebody different in the White House, maybe there might be some, and apparently it doesn't matter whether there's a statute of limitations, because I think Trump supposedly had that affair with Stormy Daniels 18 years ago. So, I mean,
it's like 18. Well, I don't care what was going on.
Yeah, it's not murder. I mean, you can't go back that far and go, that one day he clipped his toenails too short. And it's just so crazy. I can't wrap my brain around it.
It's just, so tired of hearing it.
We're up against a break. When we come back, we're going to hear a little bit about Harriet Hageman. She was talking about how people are leaving the Democratic Party because of all this craziness. And Anthony Fauci was on the witness stand in Capitol Hill yesterday, as a matter of fact. And we've got a lot of good clips from there. So hang in there. We will be right back.
Hey, this is Kendra Rains. These two old dudes crack me up. That's why I listen to the Stay Off My Lawn podcast.
With more ways than ever to connect to news and entertainment, 90% of new car buyers want that tried and true AM/FM radio option. That's because your local radio stations are reliable, trustworthy, and bring you a local connection that can't be replicated. Not to mention, it's free. No subscription or cellular data required. More than 80 million Americans each month depend on AM for their news, weather, local sports, and entertainment, plus talk radio. Help keep AM radio an option in new cars. Text AM to 52886. You'll get an auto-filled email letter to send to Congress urging them to keep AM radio in cars. Again, text AM to 52886. Brought to you by your friends at the Stay Off My Lawn podcast.
All right, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 4. We are on the home stretch.
And they're coming around the final corner, and it's on the inside rail. We've got... Never mind. Anyway.
Yeah, we've only got one furlong left to go.
I've had too much coffee today. It's all your fault.
That's okay. That's okay. Anyway, Congresswoman Harriet Hageman, which was one of our favorite people on the planet.
Oh, love me some Wyoming Hageman.
Yep,
Yum.
She was giving a speech somewhere the other day. I don't know whether it was CPAC or wherever it was, but she explains why so many people seemingly have come over to the conservative point of view and why. It's very good. It's about a minute long, but it's worth every second.
We're fed up with the Green New Deal and the socialists who created it. We're fed up with the attacks on our fossil fuel and energy industries. We're fed up with an open border. We're fed up with human trafficking. We're fed up with fentanyl flooding our country. And we're fed up with illegal immigration. We're fed up with critical race theory. We're fed up with boys competing in girls' sports. We're fed up with... We're fed up with the liberal media, Twitter, Facebook, Google, and YouTube for blocking conservative speech. We're fed up with our government and universities censoring conservative thought, canceling debate, and rewriting history. We're fed up with the corruption in the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, the CIA, the NSA, and the FISA court. We're fed up with mask mandates, vaccine mandates, the CDC, the NIH, the WHO, and the misinformation campaign surrounding COVID-19. And we're fed up with Anthony Fauci.
God, you got to love that. She's got more guts than 90% of the men in Congress. So
yeah, and that's she's pretty much everything she said was yep, that's
Yep.
Just like that liberal gal, I think we've all seen it, of talking about this is what Trump's going to do, but she was factual about things, not, oh, he's going to ruin this and he's going to do this, and we're all going,
That's what I want done. Yeah.
No, that works. No, that's good. Hey, great advertisement. And I'm sure she's got to be just chapped because that is nothing but a rallying cry for the right.
Absolutely.
Because she's saying all the things that when the last time around, the thing that I noticed about Trump was he made promises. You know what happened? He kept his promises.
Yeah.
What politicians do that?
Yeah. He didn't keep them all, but he was doing his best.
He was doing his best to get at them and do them and get things taken care of.
And hopefully this time around, he'll surround himself with better cabinet members, better people that can actually help facilitate getting some of that stuff done, finish the job that he had started, and get rid of all this corruption. Because that's 90% of what our problems is all the greed and corruption we have in the federal government. The bureaucrats, the people in charge of the DOJ, and you know, it all just needs to go. I mean,
they're spending money on, no offense, stupid stuff. Anything that the government does costs almost 4 to 6 times more than it really should.
Yeah.
So anytime you say, "Oh, here, government, you do this for me," no.
I remember when I was in the military, they had, I think it was 60 Minutes. They did a thing on government, on military spending, and they were spending like, $200. This is back in the 80s. They were spending $200 on a hammer. It was all about contracts. It's all about people rubbing each other's backs. And, it's like that all needs to go. And that's been going on for a long time. I can't put that all on Biden's shoulders, but it's really, really ramped up the last 3.5 years. So, I mean,
$1,000 for a toilet. It's like, give me a break.
Yeah. I remember that specifically. I was always wondered, it's like, does these testing equipment, because I was in electronics, does this voltmeter cost $1,000? Does it have to cost $1,000 when you can go down to Radio Shack back then and get one for $10? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But anyway, speaking of the Fauci, which Harriet Hageman brought up,
The Fauci.
Hey,
it's the Fauci.
Hey, come over here. We're going to get you straightened out there. Pull up your sleeve. We're going to get you into this shit. He got a pretty good grilling yesterday on Capitol Hill. And I don't know if you saw any of the Marjorie Taylor Greene stuff. She pulled out all the stops. She was pointing that 12 gauge right at his head.
Yeah, he came away well done.
Yes, he did. I don't have that clip because it was almost a little bit too harsh. She lost her temper quite a bit on that one. But anyway, they were talking to him about his responsibility on the response to COVID. Like I said, there's lots of clips floating around out there. This one specifically was forwarded to us by a listener. Marty, I appreciate you sending this to us. And it's the best one I've heard so far. I've actually got 2 clips from this Congressman, Rich McCormick. And this is one of his earlier exchanges with the Fauci.
Now recognize Dr. McCormick for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you.
Dr. Wenstrup, Chairman. It's been insinuated that politicians, only bloggers, only conspiracy theorists are disagreeing with you. I want to point out that I'm probably the only member of Congress that actually treated patients during the pandemic from the very beginning to the very end of the pandemic, during night shifts in the ER. Thousands of patients during that time. And in 2020, I was censored. My medical license was threatened because I disagreed with bureaucrats. Literally taken off the internet as a person who is treating patients with leading edge technologies, developing theories, but doing my very best, but being censored by the United States government for the first time, stepping in and taking the place of medical professionals as the experts in healthcare. Any dissent surrounding COVID-19 treatments, mask mandates, and any public policy surrounding the pandemic was immediately labeled as anti-science. I watched as public health officials and politicians told my patients what treatment options were best for them, regardless of their comorbidities or their medical history. Despite my education and my training and my experience, my opinions were relegated to conspiracy and misinformation by so-called healthcare experts who had never treated a patient throughout the entire pandemic. This has been a black eye on the medicine and has highlighted why government should never insert itself in between patients and their healthcare providers. The American people deserve to make medical decisions through conversations with their physicians rather than politically motivated mandates. Dr. Fauci, did you ever treat a patient for COVID during the pandemic?
I was part of a team that was at the NIH that took care. We didn't take care of many of them.
Okay, so not hands-on. Got it. Thank you. Why would I be criticized by a bureaucrat for doing my very best as a healthcare? This is a rhetorical question. But why? Why would the government, who's never treated a patient for COVID, you can read all the things you want, but you're not there. You're not seeing patients. You're not watching people die, intubating patients right there with that disease in your face, watching it happen, watching the development of this disease and actually learning from it. But I'm being told by bureaucrats what's right and wrong. And what's funny is everything I was censored on, I was proven to be right. Pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, shame on him.
The whole time he was sitting there going, well, you didn't do crap. No. I call BS, or as I like to say in some of my posts, that was a giant porcelain bowl filled with flushable sewage.
Yes, it was.
That's all it was.
Yeah. And, I was part of a team that looked at it. It's like, don't give me that. Don't give it. You have never seen a patient in your life. He's always been a bureaucrat. No, he has no clue.
Yeah, it was really sad. And the ones that tried to do stuff with ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine and had something like a 98% success rate, and they weren't intubated or any of that stuff. You know what? They had the answer. But it was all generic drugs that the big pharmas aren't going to get crap off of that.
That's right. They can't make billions of dollars off stuff that costs $5, for a 30-day subscription or prescription. So I mean, to me, it just reeked. And of course, there's kickbacks. There's all kinds of stuff that a lot of these doctors, especially the people at the NIH. That was part of what we had seen also, is that there was, I don't think I have that clip, but it was, forgot who was asking him about it, but it's like there was $100 million, $111 million that was kicked back from the pharmaceutical companies to the people of the NIH. And of course, Fauci
they were asking him, I didn't get anything from that. How come your bank account is so high then? Yeah. If you didn't get anything, where did all that come from?
Yeah. He he was the highest paid person in the federal government. He made like $500,000 a year or something.
Yeah.
But you can't build up millions and millions of dollars in your bank account off $500,000 a year. You just can't do that. So anyway, I don't believe anything that if Fauci's mouth is moving, I don't believe him.
It's true.
We do have one more from Congressman McCormick, and this is an exchange we should all hear.
You said in an interview that you gave as part of an audiobook written by Michael Spector that you believed an institutional should make it hard for people to live their lives so they'd feel pressured to get vaccinated.
Once people feel empowered and protected legally, you are going to have schools, universities, and colleges are going to say, you want to come to this college, buddy? You're going to get vaccinated. Lady, you're going to get vaccinated. Big corporations like Amazon and Facebook and all of those others are going to say, you want to work for us, you get vaccinated. And it's been proven that when you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit and they get vaccinated.
Are all objections to COVID vaccinations ideological bullshit, Dr. Fauci?
No, they're not, and
Thank
that's
you.
not what I was referring to.
Well, you affected people's ability to work, travel, be educated, to actually flourish in American society, to self-determine, as we're all given God-given rights. Shame on you.
That's not what I was referring to. Are you kidding me?
I'm sorry. It was pretty much plain as day. That's like seeing something on C-SPAN and then MSNBC putting it on MSN, and you go, what? We heard that from your own mouth. What else could you have meant?
Exactly.
Because that's what you said, and that's what you did. And now these hospitals are going, oh, crap, we don't have enough people. Some of you nurses that we kicked to the curb, yeah, you can come back, and the nurses are going, oh, not me, buddy.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. But yeah, contextually, how could he have meant anything else? Anything else? But yeah, I think the military, we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. There's a lot of people from the military that were thrown out that were integral in the operation of our defense. They kicked them all out because they refused the jab. So it's like now they've invited a lot of them back in. And it's only like less than 1% have actually taken them up on the offer to come back. Now, if you want to give them back pay for the last couple of years, that'd be another story. But
and they're going, no, I served 12 years and that's how you treated me? I don't think so. But as somebody once said, if the government can give you something, guess what else they can do?
Take it away.
They can take it away. And he was talking like a dictator, that you make their lives miserable and then they will come back to you.
Yeah.
What the hell was that?
It was twisting people's arms behind their back in order to do what the government wanted them to do. It was terrible.
And we chose not to. And it's, like I said, in my area, hardly anybody did anyway.
I got a friend of mine that she was, her daughter was in the military. In order for them to go see their granddaughters or their grandchildren or whatever, they had to get the vaccination. And so that was another way that they twisted their arms behind their back.
Oh,
and
you
made
wanted
them do
to see
it.
family?
Exactly. So otherwise, they wouldn't have got it either. I mean, because they saw early on that this is all bureaucratic BS. So anyway. We need a palate cleanser.
Oh, please do. Please, 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 please.
This is a Paul Harvey rest of the story that was, you're not going to know who they're talking about until the end. You might guess. I kind of guessed. But it's a really good story. And, of course, the only way that Paul Harvey can deliver it.
If you grew up on a diet of cow country music and hillbilly ballads, then you're familiar with the name Lonzo Green. Great country singer. But he was a stranger in town that summer. He'd brought his wife and a couple of youngsters all the way from Cherry Valley, Arkansas, to visit relatives in Tennessee. But as I say, he was a stranger in town. He was unaccustomed to the local customs and to the local taboos. So Lonzo was a little surprised to learn that a friend of his young nephew, under no circumstances, was to be allowed into the house. His teenage nephew, Jimmy, had proudly, excitedly spread the word around school that Uncle Lonzo, the musician, had come to town and he was staying with them right there in their apartment on Lauderdale Court. And naturally, this impressed Jimmy's young friends, especially one, that quiet, dark-haired boy of 15. Jimmy came home that day. He told Lonzo about the boy, how he had his own guitar, but he didn't know how to tune it. And if Lonzo would just tune the guitar for him, the boy would be so grateful. Lonzo said he'd be happy to oblige. He asked Jimmy when his friend could come with his guitar, and then Jimmy's eager smile faded. His friend could come by that afternoon, but Mom and Dad had made a firm rule that the boy was not to be allowed inside. He was, as they said in those days, from the wrong side of the tracks. They had explained, well, some folks called him white trash. Maybe he could meet Lonzo outside, but he was not permitted in the house. Lonzo did not quite understand, but he nodded. He said nothing. couple of hours later, he walked out into the sunlight and waited. And in a minute or two, the figure appeared at the end of the lane, a boy with a dark hair and a battered guitar slung across his back. And as the boy walked closer, Lonzo studied the sensitive features, the timid sidewise glances at this better neighborhood. The sting of self-consciousness was apparent. Then he noticed that the boy's guitar, obviously inexpensive, doubtless secondhand, was tethered by a piece of string. Well, they met at the curb. They shook hands. The youngster gave a shy, slight smile. And there at the curbside, they sat down, right on the curb. And Lonzo took the instrument from the boy. Nobody had ever shown him how to tune his guitar, ever. With a soft, polite Southern drawl, the lad said, "No, sir, nobody ever did." And then Lonzo demonstrated. He placed his fingers in the proper frets, and the boy watched intently. And after the guitar was tuned, he thanked Lonzo. He began to get up from the curb, but Lonzo would not let him leave. For he, Lonzo, had tasted poverty back in Arkansas in his own youth. And he had known the other side of the neighborhood barrier, which separated acceptable from unacceptable people. How such a little kindness from the right person would have meant back then. So Lonzo asked this dark-haired boy to stay a little while longer, and the hesitant smile now broke into a broad grin. And with the little lad's inexpensive guitar, Lonzo played and sang one familiar hill country ballad after another, and shortly the haunting reticence in the boy's eyes was gone, replaced by the joy of the music. Cars were streaming past them, the shadows of late afternoon grew long. After Lonzo had taught the boy to play a few chords on the guitar, the youngster thanked him again and was on his way. He was not invited inside. Not then. Lonzo Green would never meet him again. But the boy had left his company with a warm memory, a memory that he would carry throughout his remarkable, radical change in his own life, because someday you would invite that dark-haired boy from the wrong side of town into your home. And when he crossed those tracks for good, he brought with him his guitar, and he brought the soft, polite drawl and the hesitant smile. That was many summers, 33 motion pictures, millions of records, and a lifetime ago. And if there is a happy ending mixed in with our own bittersweet memories, it is that the boy was never, ever after unwelcome again. That young fellow who once upon a time was not allowed inside was Elvis Presley. Now you know the rest of the story.
I think I've been considered white trash in my own life in the past. Still, people don't invite me in, so I mean, whatever.
Poor little farm boy.
Yeah.
Now it is what it is. It's people's prejudices as, oh, well, he's a big star now, so sure he can come over.
Of course.
Don't really want to now.
Yeah, of course. I wouldn't either. I wouldn't have anything to do with him. Anyway, that was a good one. We hope that you were somewhat informed and had fun like we did. Don't forget, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon Smart Speaker, or wherever you get your podcasts, along with YouTube. And what are you laughing at?
If that list gets any longer, you're going to turn blue in the face before you get to the end of it.
I need to take a breath somewhere in there. Yeah. And we are up on Rumble now, too. So anyway.
There you go. Or if you just don't want to go through all that, we're there wherever you want to find our podcast. Check us out at our website at stayoffmylawn.us for all our past and present episodes. And check out our promos, too, that are on Instagram at Stay Off My Lawn Podcast.
Yeah. We are, you can see our beautiful faces and, you may not agree with
see why we don't show them when we do the podcast.
Exactly. That's why we don't record much of this. Anyway.
Yeah, 3-4 minutes is way more than plenty.
We'll see you next week, folks.
Thanks for listening, people. Toodles. Well, we had fun and hope you did too. The opinions heard here today are not those of anyone other than Mike and Richard. If it made you laugh or go, or even, then we've done our job. Sort of. Well, mostly anyway. And if we made you think about things in a common sense manner, we welcome you to the club. And if it didn't, then just stay off my lawn. See you next time.